Chapter 1. Prosperity is a state of mind. Prosperity is a state of mind that carries over into every area of living: health, wealth, happiness, and companionship. The word wealth comes from the root word weal, meaning a state of well-being. Start now to develop a true prosperity consciousness, and you will not only reap a rich harvest in your outer experience, but with it will come a still greater blessing, a sense of security which no one can ever take from you. Your security is an inner condition that does not depend on outer circumstances. Through your belief, create a new image of yourself. Build an image of things working out well. Think of yourself as a prosperous person. That which you believe about yourself will be fulfilled in your experience. I know you've heard that before. That's cold comfort, you're thinking. It's not going to pay the rent and the back taxes I owe, or get me the job that I need so badly. Suppose I put it this way. Prosperity is a state of mind that makes itself known to you in every area of your life as abundant living. To prosper, according to the dictionary, means to be fortunate or successful, to thrive. The person who has a feeling of prosperity has a feeling that life is working with him and not against him. The prosperity state of mind can produce not only an abundance of wealth, but health and right action as well. When one arrives at an awareness of prosperity, it flows over into every part of that person's experience, so that he or she is prosperous overall. One becomes prosperous in business, in family relationships, in romantic relationships, and generally, good health is a part of the package. Money is not the only evidence of prosperity thinking, but it surely is one of the many byproducts of a prosperity state of mind. Henry Ford became a very wealthy man, but that was not his objective. He once remarked that he set out to make the best car possible at the lowest price, and the money came. Recessions and depressions are man-made, not God-ordained. If prosperity is a state of mind, then the opposite kind of thinking, such as poverty thinking, thoughts of failure, hard times, depressions, and recessions, are also states of mind, dangerous states of mind. We must beware of giving mental house room to such thoughts, for they too will outpicture in the experience of life. As within, so without, as above, so below, is as meaningful today as it was back in the 3rd century. Ralph Waldo Emerson put it this way: a man is what he thinks about 24 hours a day. The Reverend Mr. Emerson had never heard of ERA, but I'm sure he meant his statement to include women too. Therefore, the master key to prosperity is to build a consciousness of prosperity, and that's what this book is all about. Before you finish reading it, you should not only be able to think prosperously, but live prosperously. Remember, you cannot afford to go back to your old negative thinking patterns. We cannot, any of us, afford to entertain thoughts of lack, thoughts of recessions, thoughts of poverty of any kind. We must completely disregard the doom and gloom sayers who prophesy continuing hard times. Anthony Santangelo came to the United States from Italy because he had heard that it was the land of opportunity. He firmly believed that everyone in America gets rich. And so it was for him. It seemed that Tony and his wife Maria just couldn't fail. Everything they did prospered. They started out by setting up a hamburger stand in front of the little farm they bought on the edge of town. There was no question about it. Their hamburgers were special. Soon they were adding fresh homemade bread and rolls and a counter of fancy pastries. Maria had to get up at 4 a.m. to keep up with the demand, but she didn't mind. It was fun, and she loved talking to the people who stopped at their place. Their following grew and grew by word of mouth. People came from far distances just to eat at Tony's place. Success breeds success, and soon they had a very attractive restaurant with red checkered tablecloths and fresh flowers on every table. Tony and Maria worked hard, but they loved it. They planned to add gift items in a little antique shop on the side. Everything continued to prosper. They were able to send their son to college and hire an extra cook in the kitchen. They even added a gardener, and the place became more and more beautiful. Plans were in the making for a new house to replace the little cottage where they lived. They couldn't wait to show Tony Jr. when he came home from college for Christmas vacation. And then everything changed. Tony Jr. was shocked. "Don't you know that there's a depression?" he asked them. "Times are bad everywhere. Don't you ever read the newspapers?" His parents had to admit that they hadn't had time to read a paper in months. They were so busy building up the business that they hadn't had time. Tony and Maria talked it over. After all, their son had been to college. He was studying business management. He ought to know. They had better listen to him. Maybe they should prepare for a depression. And so reluctantly they started to cut back. They canceled the plans for the new house, which was a blow to the architect and the local builder, who decided they'd have to cut back also. Yes, times were bad. If Tony, who was always so optimistic, was worried, maybe they should let some of their help go too. Tony gave up his dream of a small gift and antique shop and canceled his order from a specialty house. He wouldn't need the souvenirs and gift items he had planned to add to his restaurant. This was a great disappointment to the young salesman who had been working with him, and he told everyone he saw from then on that the depression was here. Why, even Mr. Santangelo was feeling it. It wasn't fun to go to Tony's place anymore. Tony and Maria looked so sad that their former customers began to avoid them. The business began to fall off more and more as the weeks went on. Soon they let the cook go and gave up selling the fresh bakery goods. The cook was a widow who had counted on her job to support her 5 children. What was she to do now? She passed the word along to everyone. Yes, business is rough. The restaurant is failing. The gardener was the next to go. They no longer needed fresh fruit and vegetables since they had cut back on the menu. The gardener had counted on the work to supplement his small retirement, and he was quick to tell his friends and relatives that business was poor and times were bad. The depression was here, at least in their community. News travels fast. Everyone who stopped at Tony's place heard the gloomy news and passed it on. Like a snowball, it gathered momentum, and more people were affected. In the end, the depression turned out to be a false rumor, which had been started as political propaganda. But by the time Tony found this out, he didn't have the heart to start over, and many people had been hurt. The moral of the story is, don't listen to bad news. Life is an individual experience. Each one must live out of his own consciousness. As long as Tony believed he would succeed, nothing could stop him. People make depressions. People make prosperity or failure by their attitudes. It makes no difference what the state of the economy is reputed to be. There are always those who are able to succeed. Some will always get good jobs and prosper in whatever they do. They are the people who maintain a prosperity state of mind. It isn't always easy when negative thinking is thrown at us from every side, but it pays rich dividends. Thought-watching your way to prosperity. We have to be diligent thought-watchers, allowing into our minds only those thoughts that carry the right credentials. Like the doorkeeper at some big event who allows only those people to enter who have the right ticket, we must allow only those thoughts to enter our minds that belong to the prosperity state of mind we are working to achieve. For example, instead of saying, "It can't work, times are bad, nobody will buy our product," we have to rule out the failure thoughts and ask ourselves, how can we make this project work? The important thing is to get our minds away from our own little sneaky fears of lack and start realizing abundance for ourselves and others. What happens? Then we will start to manifest abundance in our own lives. That to which we give our attention always grows and multiplies. This is a law of life. So now we are going to give our attention to prosperous living. Prosperous living means, 1, that we are working with life and life is working with us. 2, that we are drawing upon life's riches and life is responding to us. 3, that we are thinking positively and therefore having positive results. 4, that we are trusting in the perfect power within and therefore being guided into right action. 5, that we can trust and know that perfect power within is taking care of us, and we no longer need to worry. Once we understand the meaning of prosperous living, a change comes over us. Now we are able to meet the vicissitudes of life with confidence and assurance. We are no longer in bondage to our fears. We are able to walk in the light rather than in darkness. We are able to be creative, thereby consciously creating circumstances in accord with right thinking and right living. Once we understand them, we are able to apply the laws of life in our daily living. It is as if we had emerged from a maze and established ourselves on a high viewpoint, from which we could see the truth about ourselves and life itself. Now we know it is done unto you as you believe. Already everything seems different. The world looks a little brighter. Having lifted our sights and rerouted our thinking into prosperity channels, we are able to be aware of the infinite potential within. We let our minds become creative and imaginative, expanding our mental horizons. Prosperous thinking is expansive thinking. As we said before, it is not limited strictly to money and business, but reflects into every area of living. When we start out thinking that we have an infinite source to draw from, we prosper in our human relationships, our marriages prosper, and this spills over into our physical well-being, so that we find that good health is a part of this new way of life. It is all a package. We cannot have a healing in one area without it reflecting into all areas. So as you begin this program of building an enduring prosperity consciousness, prepare to receive health, happiness, and well-being in many areas of living. It works that way. We have been given dominion, spiritual dominion. Whatever we believe about ourselves is how life is going to respond to us. Now, forget the past and all of your reactions to the past. Start right this moment believing the perfect power right within you is able to do all things for you in perfect ways. Remember, the secret is turn away from your old problems and start thinking about the abundance of life, about the ability of the perfect power within you to accomplish all things in right and perfect ways. Start entertaining these ideas. Let them take root in your deep consciousness. This is a mind training program in which we are going to replace old negative patterns with positive affirmative patterns. To help you do this, we are going to give you self-direction affirmations at the end of each chapter. Use them over and over until they become part of you. Eventually, they will root out of you the thoughts you would like to be rid of, and you will find yourself habitually thinking thoughts that belong to a prosperity state of mind. Self-direction for a prosperity state of mind. Today I give my attention to divine abundance, and my good flows in from every side. The infinite has enough and to spare for us all. I do not have to envy those who have more than I do. Turning within for ideas, I receive ideas that bless and prosper me. I have a consciousness of success and abundance. I can envision myself no other way, and so I attract success. I do not judge abundance by appearances, for I know that as I expand my inner awareness, the outer will manifest as abundance. I am in tune with prosperity. I accept prosperity in every area of my life, and so it is.